Welcome to a cleanly new episode of the Demonic Compendium, the show where I discuss the mythology, design, and game history of your favorite Megami Tensei demons. Winter has officially gone out the window, and that means it's time to get started on my annual spring cleaning. So bust out the dust cloth and get ready to say ew at whatever you find under your couch, because today, we're talking about Silky. The origin of Silky, or Silkys if we're going by slightly later tale, seems to have originated around the 1800s in the English villages of Blackheddon and Belsay. Folklore involved a mysterious ghostly woman that locals referred to as Silky because she always appeared wearing a long flowing silk dress, and the rustling sounds it made when she moved was often one of the main signs she was near. However, Silky never appeared to be much of an evil spirit, not electing to hurt people, but instead play tricks on them. Natives would tell stories of riding their horses along the road at night, and suddenly she'd appear on their horse behind them to be along for the ride. In Belsay, there was a bridge where Silky particularly seemed to like hanging out, to the point where locals referred to it as Silky's Bridge, and that superstition states one should not attempt to cross without some mountain ash on their personage. Silky seemed to disappear after a female servant being spooked by Silky stumbled upon a treasure of gold. Some folks believed Silky's unfinished business involved revealing the location of this treasure, and that's why she disappeared. At a certain point, Silky started to be seen as the female equivalent of a brownie, trickster fairies who most frequently helped out with domestic chores. It was said that if a Silky guarded your home, she'd be willing to protect it from intruders, and if the house was a mess on Saturday night, homeowners would awaken to find it nice and clean on Sunday morning. Of course, Silkies are still seen as tricksters, so sometimes if your home was clean on Saturday night, you might wake up to discover she absolutely trashed the place because screw you. A lot of the information we know about Silky that we still repeat to this day is recorded in a book from William Henderson's 1877 writings, Notes on the Folklore of the Northern Countries of England and the Borders. Other writers have eventually written about Silky, like Rosemary Guiley in 1992, and if that name sounds familiar, it's because we talked about her work just a few months ago in my Ukubak video. However, many of the details do seem to remain faithful to Henderson's original notes on local folklore from way back when. Silky's Compendium entry in Shin Megami Tensei Liberation D2 refers to her as a house fairy of England and Scotland. She carries out household chores while everyone sleeps and is a welcome spirit. It is said you can hear her silk skirts rustle as she works. However, she will kill anyone who tries to cause harm to the family she protects. Design-wise, Kaneko did what we all wish we could do and kissed Silky, and by that I mean he kept it simple, Silky. Boom. Woman in an orange silk dress, with a rather fantastic sense of detail to the cloth, if I may say so. But she's also a ghost/fairy lady? Okay. Green skin, and she seems to float ethereally off the ground with no visible legs. There also might be a reason for her green hair that I'll get to later in this video. And lastly, the kerchief on her head is just a nice touch for a spirit that supposedly does a lot of domestic cleaning. There really aren't any other takes on Silky in the franchise, and honestly there don't even seem to be many renditions of Silky, period. But this one design does a fine job of capturing its backstory nicely. As far as game history goes, you may not think of Silky as a demon with a lot to bring to the table, but she surprisingly does. While her total number of appearances may be on the smaller side, she nearly always has something worth mentioning whenever she does show up. Her first appearance ever was in Rondo, aka the game we don't talk about, but she showed up for real in Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. Silky is memorable in that game as one of the main demon partners of the character Judah Singh, whom players take control of during the second vision quest in the game. Upon finding his comp in the real world, the protagonist will recruit the demon partners of Judah Singh, naturally including his Silky. Silky eventually returned to the franchise after a bit of an absence, where she can be seen as one of the demon partners of Yasuyuki Honda when he's encountered on the 4th day in the original Devil Survivor. In Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, the player must hand over a Silky to complete the EX mission Fairyland Establishment 2, which involves fusing or recruiting fairy demons to rebuild the fairy village in Sector Antlia. There is also a special Silky that can be recruited by typing in the password Soothing Ice. This Silky comes with a party healing spell as well as the skill Glacial Blast. In Shin Megami Tensei 4, Silky appears during the challenge quest R×W Smacktacular 13. She's a total sweetie who looks forward to a sporting match of slaughtering her opponents, and even remembers to remind us all, good luck, have fun. Isn't that nice? She's dead now. Silky would be one of the handful of demons to make the leap to having a 3D model in Persona 5, where she appears early in the first palace under the shadow name Troublesome Housemaid, which is a nice and apt description of her mythology. Sending Silky to the electric chair will create the female-exclusive armor Silk Dress, which gives low odds of dodging magic. Silky would return in Persona 5 Strikers as a mini-boss that must be fought in Alice Hiragi's jail, and larger versions of Silky can be fought keeping the Troublesome Housemaid name from Persona 5. However, speaking of Silky and her 3D models, it's worth bringing back the old chestnut that Silky appeared in the original January 2017 teaser for Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is supposed to be out sometime this year, so perhaps our favorite Troublesome Maid will have a memorable role in that title as well. One of my personal favorite roles of Silky is in the mobile title Shin Megami Tensei Liberation D2. Silky plays a major role in the event Silky's Haunted Mansion. While the D2s are investigating a supposedly haunted mansion, they come across a klutzy Silky who has been doing her best to keep things tidy. The Liberators help her clean up and reorganize the home, and when the mansion comes under attack by thieves, Silky prepares to kill one of them, but is talked out of it by Arisa and Kazufumi informing her how annoying it is to try and clean bloodstains out of a carpet. Oh, and before we wrap up today's episode, I'd also like to mention that Silkies and Selkies are two entirely different beings, despite the fact that Selkies are sometimes called Silkies. So, if I may, allow me to quickly go over those as well, since their presence in Megami Tensei is so small that I'll probably never have another chance to talk about them. Here we go! Selkies are Scottish Fae, whose name essentially means seal folk. In one early recorded description of them from Samuel Hibbert in 1822, they were referred to as skerries. They are magical seals that can transform into humans if they remove their own skin. They rarely integrate themselves with humans, but sometimes do for purposes of mating and whatnot before returning to the sea for about 7 years. However, if a Selkie seal skin is taken away from them, they will be forced to remain as a human. Design-wise, their only appearance is in the Demi-Kids or Devil Children series, where they're portrayed as this hilariously goofy-looking cartoon seal with a crown. Obviously, being a seal fits into their mythology. Going back to Silky for a moment, Hibbert's text does describe them as having green hair. So while Silkies and Selkies are different beasts entirely, it is possible Kaneko may have gotten the two mixed up and added this feature in Silky's design. Okay, back to Selkies. As far as game history goes, again, they've only appeared in the Demi-Kid series, so its roles are incredibly limited, but it does have some noteworthiness in Devil Children Icebook as one of the rewards given to Akira during Wartack's Demon Quiz. Oh yeah, and in Demi-Kid's Light and Dark version, it's called War Seal, which I think is funny. And so there you have it, Silky! And also Selkie, the silk-sporting, sweeping sprite, swiftly swiffering sweet, sometimes suspiciously seen as sealskin suitors. Did I leave out something you thought was important? Was I just plain wrong about something? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to let me know who you'd like to see me talk about in future episodes. That's going to do it for this episode of the Demonic Compendium, and I'll see you next time. But be careful while you rest that a demon doesn't take over your body.